What's going on, Wolves? Welcome back to another episode of the Wake Up the Wolf podcast. It is your host, DaSilva, and today we're going to be talking about a quote I said the other day while I was in flow state. Brian and myself were doing a training, and I said, make decisions today to prevent resentment tomorrow. And as soon as I said that, it hit me in the soul, all of my clients in the soul. And I actually had one of my coaches, Samantha, send me that text so I could do a podcast with you guys about it and dissect this because I feel like a lot of us are currently living with a little bit of a resentment in our bodies. All right. So I want you to think about the individual that you currently have resentment towards, because a lot of you guys have resentment in your bodies, whether it's to do with your family, your friends, all right, an old coworker, an old boss, your current boss, a current coworker. A lot of you guys have negative energy building up inside of you due to the fact that you are not making the decision to have the conversation. You are not choosing to say what is on your mind. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And I just want to have a very quick conversation with you guys, a rant, a dissection, whatever you would like to call this podcast episode, to make you aware of the things that are setting you back in life, make you aware of the decisions you are making on a daily basis that are stopping you from becoming the person you would dream of becoming. Now, if you are tuning in on YouTube, on the podcast platforms, on any other platform, make sure you subscribe to the podcast and share this out with a friend that needs to hear it. As you guys know, we don't run any paid ads to grow this podcast at all. It's all grown through word of mouth. All right. And I'm proud of that because we built up some pretty significant audiences across all social media platforms. Does that mean that every single post that I make goes turbo viral? Absolutely not. But I know that when I do post something and I get that one comment, that one share, that one DM about how that post transforms somebody's life mentally, physically, emotionally, and financially, that's a win to me. All right, that's a huge win to me. So make sure you share this out. I appreciate everything that you guys are doing and the continued support. Now let's get into it. All right, now what does that quote mean? Make decisions today to prevent resentment tomorrow. Honestly, for lack of a better term, and to keep it incredibly simple for you, what it means is fucking communicate. That's what it means. Fucking communicate. A lot of you guys have an insane amount of resentment towards somebody either currently in your life or somebody from your past life because you did not communicate properly. You have resentment towards your parents because you never faced them and had the conversation about how they made you feel when you were a kid. You have resentment towards your partner or your ex because you never communicated about the things that were bothering you while you were in the relationship right now or while you were in the relationship in the past. So fucking communicate. You guys need to learn how to have quote unquote sweaty palm conversations. What that means is whenever you got to have that hard talk with a partner or a friend or a family member, and your hands start to get super sweaty because the anxiety kicks in, the overwhelm kicks in, the stress kicks in, that is a sweaty palm combo. That is you telling your friend that they look fat in the dress that they're putting on instead of telling them that they look good because you're a friend and not a piece of shit. Now, again, that is a very simple, funny example, but hopefully you understand what I'm talking about here. So the first thing that I want you to do while you're diving into this podcast and while you're really absorbing it is that if you do have the chance, write down sweaty palm conversations on a piece of paper and then look at that, because as you look at those words on that piece of paper, you're going to be reminded of the conversations that you have not had yet and that you need to have in the first place. In order to prevent resentment, you need to communicate. So right now, if you have a shitty relationship with your parents and you haven't spoken to them in a couple years, audit why. Now, there's going to be some relationships that you guys do not want to rebuild. There's going to be some relationships that you don't want closure in. There's going to be some relationships that I'm going to tell you actually not to try to salvage, because I'm a big believer in taking people on what they show they are. I'm a big believer in listening to people when they show you and tell you who they are. I'm not a big believer in giving somebody 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 chances. However, you're going to have to audit how you feel about the people around you, past and present. And if you have an immense amount of resentment towards someone, let it go. Have the convo. Ask for closure. Express what's in your heart. Will the conversation always go well? Absolutely not, but it is definitely necessary. This could even attribute to your business. Where this conversation actually originated from, Brian and myself were having a conversation delivering a training in front of our $1 million mastermind. You see, our $1 million mastermind are our students that are sitting between $30,000 and $100,000 a month organically in their fitness coaching businesses. So the training we delivered was how we manage a partnership, because Brian and myself have been 60-40 partners. I'm a 40% partner. He's a 60% partner since we started PT Domination. The partnership share acquisition was actually a little bit different, but I'm not going to bore you with the nitty-gritty details. Let's just break it down like that. Now, have we done equal work? 100%. He's just been front end. I've been back end. Have we always stood in the fire and made decisions together? 100%. It's just had different roles and different lights shined on us. Now, the reason why this conversation popped up, have conversations today, make decisions today to prevent resentment tomorrow, is because Brian and myself have had to learn how to coexist and live in the same relationship. All right. Because don't get it twisted, guys. A business partnership is the same as a relationship. I need to be aware of how I'm coming off towards him and communicating on a daily basis, just like I need to do it with my own wife, and vice versa. Why? Because we are both human beings and we have feelings. So in order to make sure that the business thrives, we need to make sure that we are consistently communicating and that we are in sync. We have loyalty to the vision and loyalty to each other. This convo came up because I consistently see people burning relationships to the ground, getting hurt on a daily basis, getting their own way when it comes down to success, and way more because they're not making the right decisions, because they're not communicating, because they're not doing what's necessary in order to become the person they wish to be. So listen, what I want you to do again is assess how you are feeling when it comes to the people around you. Start with the closest people first. Let's say you do have a wife or a husband. Is there any combos that you haven't had recently that you know you need to have? I'm not going to lie. I won't tell you guys what the conversation is, but Julia and myself actually had a very hard sweaty palm conversation not 3.5 weeks ago. There was tears shed. There was a very deep convo had. And now we are both extremely grateful that we had that conversation, because ever since that day, we feel even closer to each other, more in love with each other. And we're only going to thrive and grow from here in our marriage. When I assess the other relationships around me, I don't feel like anything needs to be said. I'm a very open book when it comes down to my friends, my family, my spouse. But I do this pretty much monthly. Is there anything that I need to say to the individuals around me to make sure that I prevent resentment tomorrow? Because I'm telling you right now, resentment will kill the future life that you want to create. Because even if you do get that little bit of money, even if you do get that little bit of success, even if you do grow a little bit like you would like to, the resentment that you feel towards the individuals around you and to your old self, because you never had that conversation, will destroy how you feel and make it very hard for you to celebrate that fucking win. So start with the people closest to you and start moving out. Start with your spouse. That is your chosen family that you are making. Then go to your actual family. I'm not saying you got to rebuild relationships with them, but maybe you got to have some closure and close that fucking door, so you don't let resentment ruin your future and ruin your emotions and turn you into a pessimistic, negative individual. After you're done that, move to your friends. Do you have any friends that you need to have a hard conversation with because you don't like how they're acting, or you don't like how they're speaking about you, or you don't like what they're doing when they're in your vicinity? Have that conversation. Make decisions today to prevent resentment tomorrow. Communicate today to prevent resentment tomorrow. Make choices today to prevent resentment tomorrow. I could say that line 100 different fucking ways. I just need to make sure that you actually understand it. The goal behind this podcast is to get you to let go, forgive and forget. Forgive and forget. Holding on to negative emotions because you don't understand how to communicate will always come back to bite you in the fucking ass. How do I know? Because I've sat in rooms with individuals making hundreds of millions of dollars. They have technically on paper made it in every right of the word, mentally, physically, emotionally, and financially. But they have this one burning thought in the back of their head every single day wishing that they would have had a conversation, or wishing that a relationship wouldn't have went down the wrong way, or wishing that something would have happened even though it didn't happen, all based off of the fact that they didn't understand how to communicate in the first place. So go do an audit today and make a decision, have a conversation, make an active choice, move in the direction of killing any negativity internal, so you do not resent yourself, resent your partner, resent your family, resent your friends, resent your business, resent your clients later on in the future. It's a very simple concept. It's a lot harder to actually do. Why? Because you're going to have to leave your comfort zone to do it. I promise you, growth conversations don't have sitting in your comfort zone. Growth conversations don't happen sitting in your comfort zone. Growth conversations don't happen while you're hiding from the hard part of life and growth. There's a classic saying that Alex Hormozi has said in the past, and I want to repeat it before we move into this because I feel like it ties well into the hard conversations. Hormozi said, if you want to build the perfect human being, the most vicious human being, the most resilient human being in the entire world, what would you put them through as they were growing? A bunch of soft shit, no pain, no suffering, no struggles? Or would you force them to go through the fire? Make them go after roadblock after roadblock after roadblock. Make them go through obstacle after obstacle after obstacle, mentally, physically, emotionally, and financially. What would you make them do? What path would you make them take? Obviously, not the easy one. Obviously, not the comfortable one. Because comfort kills dreams, where discomfort turns you into the person you want to become. Comfort kills dreams. Discomfort will turn you into the person you want to become. So embrace discomfort today and go communicate with the individuals either in your company or in your friend group or in your family or yourself, so you can kill the resentment that is bound to happen in the future because you don't understand how to communicate right now. That's it for today. Subscribe to the fucking podcast. Share this with an individual that needs to hear it, that's always bitching and whining and complaining about their spouse and their family and their friends and themselves and meh. Share this with them so they can learn that the only reason why they feel so negative and pessimistic on a daily basis is that their communication is a fucking 1 instead of a 10. And until you bring it up to a 10, you are going to resent people and things for the rest of your fucking life. Appreciate y'all. We out of here. Peace.